Minister, this morning the country is taking a bit of a battering, and we think of all of those that are out working, our Gardaí, our local authority workers, service workers. We also send, as a House, our sympathies to the family of the lady who was seemingly killed this morning in a storm-related incident, and we wish safety to everybody else. But among those responding this morning, Minister, to this weather challenge are members of our defence forces, and who will do so with dedication and commitment as they do for everything. And the country is rightly proud of our defence forces, how they serve and protect our country, how they serve and protect our world, and how they've contributed over many years. 60 years actually was marked earlier this year in Lebanon, in Syria, in the Golan Heights, to mention but a few. Irish soldiers, Irish naval forces and Air Corps personnel are valued across the globe, and we all admire their work here at home for their dedication and their expertise. And we remember with pride their participation in the centenary of the 1916 Rising, and in particular what their participation brought to that occasion. However, Minister, compliments and commendations don't put meals on tables. And despite many debates here in the Dáil, despite a report commissioned by the University of Limerick on the Defence Forces, nothing has been done by this government in relation to the concerns affecting the Defence Forces at the moment. Members of the Defence Forces are men and women who have the same costs as the rest of us, but are now finding it impossible to rear families, to get a mortgage, to tackle the day-to-day costs because they're serving our country. A large proportion of Defence Force members have had to sign up to family income supplement, or the working family payment, as it's now known. Defence Force personnel are leaving on a weekly basis, expertise being lost to the state, colleagues losing colleagues because the private sector are putting much better offers on the table. That expertise has been lost to the state. The current numbers in our forces are actually the lowest in the history of the state. There's just over 9,000 personnel, 490 below the current agreed strength. And I know in your response you will say there is a recruitment campaign underway, but you won't say how many are leaving on a weekly or a monthly basis. That's nullifying that recruitment campaign. That exodus has been underway since 2012, and actually the number of army officers has also dropped by 15%, from 966 to 817. So at every level in our defence forces there is a crisis. And that crisis has grown so large, Minister, that today there will be a parade around to this House so that attention can once again focus on the challenge facing our defence forces. Former members of the Defence Forces, including some very senior former personnel who have given world service, and current family members have had to mobilise to get attention and to draw the government's attention to their plight. Minister, do you accept that numbers in our Defence Forces are unacceptable, and the exodus of personnel, the exodus of expertise has to be stopped? What occasion or what engagement has the Taoiseach, who is apparently the Minister of Defence, or Minister Keogh had with Defence Forces to address the concerns? And what is the response of your government to the parade today?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Thanks, Deputy Calleary. And first of all, can I suppose on behalf of everybody in the House, including government, to offer my sincere condolences to the family and the friends of the lady who passed away this morning due to the adverse weather conditions down in Galway. I think I agree with probably a lot of what you said, because at home and indeed overseas, the men and women of our defence forces serve Ireland with absolute distinction. The defence forces are part of a bedrock which underpins the safety and security of every single person in this country, and indeed further afield. And I think it probably would be understated to say that the government values each and every member and the roles that they carry out, whether it's peacekeeping or at home supporting other state agencies, like indeed we see today with the Defence Forces helping the ESB because of unadverse weather conditions. And it's for that very reason that the government has tasked the Public Sector Pay Commission to examine the recruitment that you spoke about and the retention issues that do exist in the Defence Forces, and that we are well aware of them, just in case you think we're not. The process is underway, the submissions have been made, and the Commission is engaging with the individual serving members. And I think that's only just one element of the efforts to improve pay and conditions of the members of the Defence Forces, because, like other areas of our public services, the members of the Defence Forces are benefiting from pay increases due under the pay agreements and the revised pay scales from post-2013 recruits, and they've already been implemented, because members of the Defence Forces are benefiting from increases in pay ranging from about 6.2% to 7.4%, and also the restoration to pre-FEMPI levels for everybody that's earning under €70,000. The first 1% increase became payable on the 1st of January 2018. The second increase is due to be applied on the 1st of October 2018, and also the restoration of the 5% reduction in the allowances that happened because of the cuts of FEMPI, because of the economic and financial positions that the state was in during those very precarious years from 2010 to very, very recently. They're scheduled to be recovered very, very soon. I think, given the unique and demanding nature of the military life, I think we accept that the turnover within the Defence Forces is probably going to be higher than in some of our other agencies. But what we're not prepared to accept is the fact that, and I hope I do surprise you when I tell you that I do acknowledge that it is 8% and that it is too high. And that's exactly why we've organised recruitment and retention measures to be implemented, such as addressing the work-life balance, such as a comprehensive skill gas analysis across the entire Defence Forces, and indeed a review of the contract of services for enlisted personnel in the context of capability requirements and appropriate age profiles, and to develop the options and to expand direct entry of specialists and the re-entry of former members of the Permanent Defence Forces with the required skill set.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Calleary, you have 1 minute.
Thanks, Minister. The Government values each and every member. Again, Minister, platitudes do not put food on the table. The pay structure of the Defence Forces is particularly unique in that allowances are a key part of that pay, and they haven't been restored. Our Defence Forces don't get overtime. Defence Forces on duty for the papal visit were given a paltry amount compared to other people who did overtime. And that's why there is a parade today. They don't have confidence in the Public Service Pay Commission. They don't have confidence in all these initiatives you're saying, because they have been on the waiting list and put on the long finger for far too long. The exodus of personnel is happening since 2012. And when you see the words of somebody who has served the state across the world, ex-Brigadier General George Ahern, who's saying the bond between Defence Force and state has been broken, that's the reality. That's the feeling of senior personnel and personnel at every level of the Defence Forces. And that's why there's a parade today. When members of our Defence Forces, Óglaigh na hÉireann, to whom we owe so much respect, are dependent on family income supplement to supplement their wages, that's one hell of an indictment from a government to Óglaigh na hÉireann.
Thank you, Deputy Minister, to conclude on this matter.
Thanks, Deputy. I have to tell you that I'm not really interested in platitudes, and I hope for the very, very most part I don't engage in them. What I am interested in is the substance of the actions that have actually been taken by the Minister for Defence and indeed by extension government. The significant improvements of pay under the Lansdowne Road Agreement and the further increases over the lifetime of the Public Service Stability Agreement from 2018 or 2020 is not a platitude. It's a substantial action that has been taken by this government, and it's only been able to be taken because of the recovering economy. The Public Pay Service Commission has been tasked with providing detailed, objective analysis on recruitment and retention in the defence sector. That's not a platitude. That's an actual, tangible target and project for that particular agency, and it will reap dividends. And finally, the Government has increased the numbers of serving overseas by an additional 100 personnel deployed to UNIFIL shortly. That's not a platitude. That's a tangible, substantial increase in confidence in our abilities to defend other nations overseas. We're not interested in platitudes. I'm really sorry that the fact that people are outside parading today, but it gives us an opportunity for us, for you and for me and everybody else in this House, to talk about the pride that we have in our Defence Forces, to talk about reinstilling a recruitment process and a retention process to make sure that it is up to the numbers that we expected, and to talk about a recovering economy providing for every single part of the public service the proper pay and conditions that they should be getting, that were depleted because of actions of previous governments in the last number of years.